Wait, so
hey guys.
me, you, and who? Me, you, and who?
Luis?
Yeah.
That's you. Okay, I figured that was you. Okay, cool. Wasn't sure. Okay. Welcome to class, you guys. We're gonna do chakras. We're gonna do on the root chakra. So I'm gonna first kind of just go over what we did in our last class, because that's like the root chakra. Okay, we already covered the root chakra. Remember that the chakras are universal. They don't belong to any specific religion or culture. A lot of, you see it more advertised in like Hinduism sometimes and Buddhism, but it doesn't belong to anybody. Okay. And it's all about, of course, connecting the inner and outer. So psychology, science, spiritual, that's the way of teaching it all combined. And it's a really good thing, part of your own healing journey, to realize that everything connects. You have your chakras that connect, which are your energy, wheels, yoga, meditation. It all goes together, guys. It all goes hand in hand. Okay. So, and then just so you guys know, the 4 steps in working with chakras, just so we can start that part, is 1, identify behaviors, emotions, and pain that correspond with each chakra. Okay. 2 is accepting and understanding each chakra. 3, consciously connect with your chakras by having a greater awareness of your mind, body, breath, and spirit. And last, commit to doing the inner work. It's about self-awareness and being aware of your body, being aware of your emotions, being aware of the pain, tension, that you're getting, cramps, whatever it may be. It's becoming aware of where you're feeling it, and that will tell you what chakra is off. Okay. Do you have questions regarding that so far?
No.
Perfect. Okay. So with the sacral chakra, that is our second chakra. Okay. And that is represented by the color orange. So if you know that, it's orange, it's sacral. Sacral chakra is also known as the passion chakra. That's huge. And people also associate it with sexuality, sex. Okay. Right page here. Okay. So with this chakra itself, it's life-giving forces. It's got the female and the male reproductive system. Okay. So when you think of it that way, the sacral chakra gives life to not only to human beings, little babies, right? It also gives life to your creativity. It gives life to your relationships. It gives life to your in any relationship. It gives life to your business. So let's go back. Anything that deals with relationships, period, your sacral chakra gives life to that. Okay. So any two-person, two-thing connection, either it's me and business, me and somebody else, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, money, relationships, anything like that, it stems from our sacral chakra, which I think is awesome, because if it fails, then it affects other chakras, which is kind of different, but it's still pretty cool. So then what's great about this is that when we meditate on our sacral chakra, it teaches us how the importance of family and emotional web of our own life. Okay, it's how we ignite it. So if our balance, our emotions are off, it quickly affects every relationship around us. And some of us know that we are unable to use our gifts properly if we're off balance on our emotions. Okay, it's so hard for us to do that. So key phrases, just because aware of what the result the chakra is about: procreation, sensuality, emotions, pleasure, family, and fantasies. Again, procreation, sensuality, emotions, pleasures, family, and fantasies, okay? The location of our sacral chakra is in the pelvis area. We usually have issues with our testicles and or ovaries when our sacral is off. So our drive, our desire for sex, our drive or desire to be in a relationship affects our sacral chakra. That's how we know that it's off. One of the main reasons that we just don't have the umph. We lose. It's like sometimes it's like you lost your mojo. I've heard that, and that means you have issues with your sacral chakra. It's linked to the planet Mercury. The day of the week to focus on it is on Wednesdays. The element is water, and the sense is a taste, which means that usually something that you enjoy that is divine to your taste buds will help your sacral chakra. So anything that heightens your taste buds, we'll say it's oranges, peaches, anything orange that you eat is going to help. Carrots. So think of those things too. Okay. Any questions so far?
No.
Okay. So if we shift moods, we're really moody, it affects our desires. It affects us to even be able to be creative, to have an imagination, to even dream. So think about that. When you're really moody, you're so focused on the fluctuation of your moods and you get distracted easily that you lose sight of your goals, your dreams, your desires, because it could be because of stress, whatever it may be, but it really affects that sacral, and you'll feel kind of like tension or tightness there. Okay. It'll also affect like your hips too. A lot of it too will start affecting a little bit of your hips, because the sacral and the solar, sometimes they can fluctuate back and forth with each other, because the solar is about the confidence, and if you're lacking the desire and passion, it's gonna go back and forth. Okay. And it'll even affect your heart, just so you know. Now, sacral chakra is the appreciation of physical beauty. Okay. It also has the physical beauty of how you see yourself, how you express yourself as well. Very sensual, very like exotic. It's how you view yourself. Very much will also contribute to the sacral chakra too. So if you, for example, if you are not one to talk about your emotions, or you hide your thoughts, or you're not transparent or vulnerable, then it's going to hit you right there in your sacral chakra, which means that you're less likely to be in loving relationships. Okay. You're more likely to have expectations of what you want out of something because you don't love yourself. So it all connects to loving yourself too. I mean, you have to do the work. You be aware of what you don't like about yourself and work on that, because the sacral is very much affected by that. Like I said, you're always looking for, you become dependent on somebody else to validate how you feel about you. Okay, that makes sense. You become dependent on somebody else to validate how you feel about yourself. That makes sense? Okay. Refusing, guys, to even look at and listen or admit that we have flaws, that we're making mistakes, is an easy way to get stuck in that rut, that vicious cycle of not attracting the right relationships in any part of your life. Okay. if you're going to not admit, not accept, not look at yourself, it'll affect every relationship. So that's a really big sign right there. If you're noticing that your relationships keep failing, or they're not doing well, or they're toxic, is because you're failing to admit that you have a problem and that you need to work on yourselves. People are always looking at, it's their problem, it's their fault, and that's not how it works. Okay, so in your sacral chakra, there's obstacles. And what I mean by obstacles is that there's that negative feeling of what happens or how we feel when our sacral chakra is off. You feel indifferent. Okay, there's confusion. You feel like exploited. You are dependent on something or someone. You're inconsiderate. You're unpleasant to be around. You're possessive. You're very dull. You have a lot of envy and jealousy. And you're like in that sloth mode. No activity at all. Your energy draining sex, indulgence, self-glorification. Now, if you look at going back to what of dullness, you can go, I'll say like people watching. And if you see somebody wearing very like dull colors, they're very like simple, very like grays, very much like that. It's because their sacral chakra's off. Okay, the more vibrant that we look, the more that presence, that essence. We all have the essence within us, and if it's dull, no one wants to be around you. Okay, if the essence was vibrant, creativity, just being bold, being out there, then your essence, it becomes very sexual essence, but in sensual, but sexual not as in always wanting like you're wanting a partner, sexual as in like, wow, like that's just beautiful. It hits differently. It's not always about like sex itself, right? There's sexual energy, and then there's a difference there. Now, the opportunities when you're balanced in your sacral chakra is that you become sensitive. Okay, you're vulnerable, you're in touch, because in this area you have the male and the female, so masculine and feminine right here in this area. Why? Because that's where you have your reproductive organs as well. So having that balance of the masculine and the feminine is really important here. You have to become sensitive. Harmony. You respect people and yourself, right? You have self-reliance. You're just gracious. You're just grateful for things around you. You allow people to do their own thing. You're not trying to control them. Like you just love people. You love them for them. You're not wanting to change anybody. You are grateful that they're who they are, and they're really truly who they are, whether you understand them or not. It doesn't matter, because they have nothing to do with you. You realize they have nothing to do with you. Okay. You're very like enthusiastic about things, and you like take the initiative to learn new things and understand new things, especially if they don't make sense to you. You're still willing to kind of like do some research, understand like, okay, this makes sense now. You're merciful. You take appreciation in your life and the things that you attract, and also others as well. If you're in a partner, you have same thing with your partner. You take appreciation when they have gains. If you're in a marriage, you take that appreciation when they do well. You acknowledge them. You're very creative. Okay, and creativity is not always like painting and drawing. Is you're creative on how you think. You think outside the box. You find different ways to solve problems. You find solutions. That's also a way of being creative, you guys. Okay, it's not always creating like jewelry or like designing clothing or being like like being a designer for your like house. No, that's not always how it works. It's how you think. And being joyful and purification, just purifying like a lot of that like ego, the envy, the jealousy. Those are always good signs that you're on the right track of your sacral chakra. Seriously. Any questions? That make sense?
No.
Okay, perfect. Now, your gifts and strengths of your sacral chakra is your enjoyment of life, period. Being guided by appropriate emotions, maintaining positive relationships, being one's true self. It's so important for you guys to understand that you have to love who you are. And I've said that many times. It's hard for you to attract any type of positive relationship, okay? If you are still questioning your own self-worth, if you're still questioning your own deserve, like, do I deserve this? You know, am I enough? Because you're always going to attract semi-enough, semi-deserving, semi-worthy relationships. And that's just not like a love relationship or sexual. It's relationship with everything, job, money, friendships. You know, you won't attract that. So it's all about how we look at ourselves. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So because the chakra is connected to like emotions and water, we have to learn to be fluid. I always say, guys, flow, right? You know, just flow with everything and just accept things how they are, because, and it is challenging. Even for me, at times it can be challenging. But if we don't learn how to flow with how things are turning out and learning to kind of work on ourselves, then we create knots in our sacral, okay? And how it can affect us is that sometimes sexually we are attracting aggressive partners, or maybe we become aggressive, or we're attracting controlling partners, or even we could be in a type of job where they're micromanaging us, okay? And you're working there, so that can portray as well. If you're attracting them and if you're in those environments, it's because you also have, you have a work to do in your sacral chakra as well. Now think of it this way. In a relationship, if you guys have been in toxic relationships, you know, or abusive, neglectful relationships, however you want to look at it, think back, because your sacral energy was probably off if you attracted that. You're looking at if there's any kind of jealousy, envy, controlling, or there's expectations, or you're trying to change them. Your sacral energy was off. And if you notice when you're in the relationships, your sexual desires were less and less and less. Always signs that your sacral energy is off, because you just stopped loving yourself, and you're trying to portray change onto somebody else, or you're trying to control them or be aggressive. And it goes vice versa, you guys. If you were the actual one that was being abused, if you're the one that was you know, being controlled, it's the same thing. Your partner was having the lack of that other sacral energy. So think about that too, okay? If you go back, you probably point out aspects of your past relationships where that was happening. And then also when your sacral energy is off, is because you are so worried about taking care of somebody else's needs before your own. How many people here have done that? Taking care of somebody else's needs before their own? Yeah. That's a sign right there. Your sacral energy is off. It should be a flow of energy back and forth, you guys. A flow of energy, okay? When you are in a relationship, you enter a relationship, it's about just accepting each other. for who you guys are, right? Because what happens is when you enter a relationship and you have these expectations, so you already have the expectations of what you want someone to physically look like, okay? You're attracted to this person, which is why you guys have decided to be in a relationship, however it may be. And then you start getting to know them, right? And there are some of these quirks and maybe some of these hobbies that you might not be a big fan. And you're like, well, maybe I can live with this because, you know, this person is still good looking. So I think we're okay. But then like, you notice other, you know, things that are maybe bothering you. Maybe it's how they clean or how they do laundry, just small things like that. We'll just say, okay, or how they order food when you go out, you know, to eat, or how they treat people. So right there is knowing to accept. You accept them for how they are, for who they are, and having to have a very good communication and ask yourself, why does it bother me so much? Why does it bother me that he or she does things this way? Why does it bother me if they do it this way? Because it always reflects on us, okay? And then from there, instead of trying to change someone, because we don't change anybody but ourselves, right there, okay? Talking and being able to communicate and meet, because mostly things happen like in divorce or they break up is because no one talks. No one talks about their feelings. No one talks about, you know, their vulnerability, you know, nothing. It's just left for like, I'll take care of it, or it's a silent treatment, or one or the other person either goes and deals with their own emotions through different kinds of addictions, you guys, whether it could be shopping, you know, eating, you know, working out, cheating, maybe. Whatever it is, you turn into a vice because you don't want to deal with something that was probably so small and you just contributed and now it's so big. Does that make sense? Okay. So being able to kind of understand that when you start falling into an addiction as well, it's contributing to your sacral chakra, whatever it may be. That means that we're not feeling enough, we're not feeling worthy, we're not feeling confident, and we don't love ourselves. When you start falling into an addiction, it starts at the sacral. Okay. So, question for you guys. What happens, or how do you respond when you really like somebody and you think that they like you too? You're talking, it's going good, and all of a sudden you figure out that they decided to be with somebody else. How do you guys respond to that type of situation? If you want to just say how you would do it, how have you? I know we've all been in that situation, so how have you?
I like to just I like to cry and then go and indulge my feelings with food or alcohol or any of the above. Anything. I'll just go and try and feel that. Try and I guess not think about that situation.
Okay, like it's like you're numbing, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Self-sabotaging. Sacrificing
Very
yourself.
much so.
Okay, good. Anybody else want to put their 2 cents in on how they respond when they're not being chosen, I guess you can say, for their partner? You know, I'll say, you know, sometimes it just depends, like, and it affects our inner child. So I can be really dramatic, you know what I mean? And I can like pipe out, or I'll being a Taurus, I can listen to sappy music all day and just cry and just let it out, like just like a little pity party. I can eat ice cream. I'm an emotional eater, so that gets really bad. I used to shop like crazy, you know, and that's things that I have done. Now I more process it, and I think, okay, look at it this way: the universe saved my ass from something, because guess what? A month or 2 months later, you figure out that, woof, thank goodness. You know what I mean? There's always a reason, you guys. You know, when there's a person that gets taken out of our lives, or there's a person that hurts us so much that to the point where that's the only way that we're able to walk away because we're pissed, or they did something that goes completely against our beliefs, and that's how we do. That's like the universe and God saying, okay, here you go. You haven't been listening to all these messages, all these signs I've been giving you, because we have hope that they're going to change, right? It's that small little hope. And then boom, it hits us and we're like, crapola, here we go. Okay. So that's also a way, you know, too, is just realizing that, okay, it can get pretty ugly. And knowing and being aware. And once you know how you respond or react, I should say, or the tantrums that we throw, we're only hurting ourselves, because the emotional eating, the addiction, the drinking, the next day you're hungover, you know, it's like a domino effect, you know, and it's yucky. You go on for a week. It's awful. It's awful. Anything with like the heart or like just love relationships, it can be devastating. Okay, let's see here. People usually fall into a really bad depression sometimes too. So be very cautious of that, okay? And then you start questioning your own worthiness. Okay, when you question your own worthiness, everything around you seems to also be questioning your own worthiness. Like, you know, you might not get the person you want in your life, and then you go back to work and you found out that you didn't get the shift that you wanted or the raise that you wanted. I mean, it like it hits you like a ton of bricks, because the universe is trying to let you know, okay, work on this area, because if you have no confidence in yourself and you're depending on somebody else's, you know, decision on how they view you will be how you view yourself, that's not going to help you. It's finding that confidence in you, saying that I am enough, I am worthy, and I am deserving of this. And that's how also this affirmation will also help get you that sacral, you know, chakra ready, but also being aware to balance your emotions as well. Okay. And also, like, people always also with their sacral being off is that they'll get into a relationship just to feel the emptiness from the previous. It's like those rebound, right? The rebound relationships are so unhealthy, and karma will bite you guys. It's one way too, you guys, just so you know. Like, instead of healing, don't go looking for somebody to heal, to help to heal for you, because they can't do that work for you. You have to acknowledge, you have to accept that either you made a mistake or you overlooked something, or you need to work on yourself. Those are all part of that sacral chakra as well. Okay. So let me tell you how it affects our inner child with relationships. Okay. However we were given love, how we were treated in any relationship when it came to like being nurtured, it'll affect us as a adult. So for example, if you were neglected, and by that I mean you were only giving material things. Your parents were like, you know what, I'm working hard, as long as like they have a roof over their head, if I give them food on the table and I buy them things, then I've done my job. Then guess what's going to happen when you're an adult? You're going to either one, go to an extreme of working hard all the time just because you're trying to get these material things, because you think that's what love is, it's material stuff. Or two, you're going to be bouncing from one relationship to another and to another and to another till you figure out what is love, right? How do I receive love? What makes sense? Like right there. And that's how you see it as adults. Anybody, like, you guys understand where I'm coming from? Have you guys felt that way? Do you guys find yourself doing that? Yeah. And that's how you know. And that's what you need to figure out. What is love to me? What makes me happy? How do I receive love? How do I give love? You know, what is do you have any expectations of love? That's the difference too. You know, and that's when you have to work on yourself, to ask yourself that question, because once you figure that out, that's when you'll stop shopping by material things, because that's not going to fill your heart, right? You're going to stop bouncing from one relationship to another, because you're trying to find someone to nurture you, because you weren't nurtured as a child. Your parents were too busy working, providing, right? That they didn't have time to sit with you and provide you just that love and emotion. Okay. Another one is also when your parents give you everything, you know, everything, right? Then you become very selfish, And so you just expect people to just give you anything, right? You're like, hey, if you love me, show me, give it to me, instead of meeting them halfway. And you go good or bad, right? And those get more controlling because they get mad, they get really like aggressive because they're used to having it all. And then when they become adults, guess what? You don't get to have it all. You have to work for it, right? It's that responsibility. So it really affects on how we're raised. So think about that as a child. How were you loved? Were you given like 5 minutes of your parents' time to sit down and talk about your day at school or day at work? No, if you weren't, then you're going to revert to very fluctuation of either working a lot and trying to provide material stuff, or you're going to be trying to look for it in a relationship with toxic people. Okay. That makes sense? Questions so far on the sacral?
No.
Nope. So what can also affect us, you guys, which is kind of like that dark side of the sacral, is you're going to get afraid of engaging with people. You have fear of intimacy. You're going to start giving up on your desires. You're going to start like wanting to please people. You're going to be looking for validation from people, whether it's at work, whether it's friendships or relationships. Like, for example, before you make a decision, you call your friend up or something. Hey, does this sound good? You know, for everything. Okay. I'm not saying just something that's like rare, but you're like, you're calling for your validation. Do I look good? Do I look okay? Did I make the right decision? Did I respond to him or her correctly? You know, that too, that's like that dark side of your sacral being off. You lack purpose. You don't know like what your purpose is. And you have a lot of jealousy and envy. Jealousy could come at either your neighbors, like your work, or you start comparing yourself to other people, or you're just envious. Like, why is it that this person gets to do it this way, but why is it if I do it, I always get like punished for it, or I end up getting the karma quick, you know? It's not our job to figure other people out. It's our job to figure ourselves out. And that's that shift in your sacral that you can start working on it just by switching the way that you think. Okay? None of business on what Joe Schmo's doing over there or what Susan's doing over there. We don't care. You pour out energy to other people when you should pour it directly to yourself. And that's what the whole people pleasing. You're so wanting to please people. Why? And then you keep pleasing the same person because you want to get their attention. You want to get their validation when you're probably never going to get it. And you're throwing out energy to them when you can focus it on you. Gain that energy, evolve, you know, have that confidence within yourself, and you can move forward and you can evolve. And guess what? Whether they do it or not, it's not going to matter. You're not going to care what they'll think of you. That's the whole point. You shouldn't care what anybody thinks of you at all. You should be confident within yourself if you love yourself. If you get that not everybody is going to support you, and that's okay. Not everybody is going to tell you a good job, and that's okay. Sometimes we, as individuals, have to be able to tell ourselves that and pat ourselves on the back and realize that. Because when you keep seeking validation, you're stuck. It's like you won't walk out of your own house until someone tells you that you're good to go. Yep, you know what I mean? And so then what happens? Life keeps moving, life keeps going, but you're stuck in that same spot. Well, I wasn't told that it was safe, or I wasn't told, or I didn't see the green light. Sometimes we have to take that risk on a red light, or drive a little faster on a freaking yellow light. We've all done it, right? And think of it that way too. You don't have to wait till it's green. If you take a chance on yourself and you realize that you are worthy of it, and that's when you become very like desiring. You become very like sensual. You can walk into a room and turn head just based on your essence, that you're confident, you know who you are, and you're embracing your imperfections. That is so big on that sacral chakra too, is knowing that. And once you do that and learning to please yourself, learning what it is to please yourself, what makes you happy, what makes you, feel loved, what is something that you want to do to feel nurtured. All that is our sacral energy as well. Okay. Questions and comments regarding that?
No.
No, you're
I
good.
have an off-topic question.
Yeah, go for it.
Is it a full moon tonight, or
Yes, it's tonight and tomorrow. The full moon in
okay?
Virgo.
Ooh, period. Okay, period. That was my question.
Yes, it's gonna be a crazy one. Not crazy. I mean, Virgos. I love Virgos, really do. But they're gonna make you very
Me
organized.
too. That's my favorite placement. I'm a Virgo rising, and I love it.
Very, very like. I love Virgos because they get me out of my little like Taurus moment. Like stability. So it's good. It's really good energy for us. Get us back into routine, organization, structure in our own lives. You know how to do things, how to follow through with things, and it's just black and white routine. There is no time over it.
That's what I've been doing all day long, organizing and figuring out all my to-do list, my goals list.
Yes, you go into what I call like a nesting phase with the full moon in Virgo. Nesting is like you're preparing everything, you know, for something greater. So be aware of that, you guys. A lot of us, like I've been organized like last couple of days too. Just naturally, I'm like, what the hell wrong with me? But it's because you're preparing. It's like you're getting ready to nest on her channel, a rebirth of yourself. A rebirth of yourself. You're transforming. So you're gonna start to do that. And it'll be just natural. A lot of us that like women, when we're pregnant, we're about to give birth, we start nesting, we start getting the baby room ready, we start doing this, and it just naturally, you know, intuitively we do that. And if you're connected with the cycle of the moon, the same thing will happen to you, especially when it comes to the Virgo moon. It's crazy. So ways to be able to, like I said, besides the words and affirmations and the change the way that you think, knowing how to breathe, in breathing and holding your breath and knowing to hold your breath down in your pelvic area, hold it, and then when you release it, you can release a lot of that energy that's been pent up that way too, out. Even certain yoga poses will also help get the energy, you know, from getting unblocked, as well. So you're not have those knots anymore. It'll give you a little bit of an umph too. What I see, like if you grab like a glass of water, okay, and you pour, like you have a glass of water in front of you, and if you just look at that glass of water and you keep staring at it, it'll also help you control your mind. But when you close your eyes, and you visualize that glass of water, you can realize how your emotions affect you. Like our emotions are key, and that's what that sacral is. Balance your emotions. Don't let them fluctuate. Once you start seeing them fluctuate like a roller coaster, stop and sit down and say, okay, what's going on with me? Okay. If you are always spilling water all the time or spilling liquids, guess what's happening? Your emotions are out of whack. Our sacral gets affected, and even our solar plexus, which will be next week, but our sacral gets affected by it. And you can't think straight, which means that your sexual desires or everything is going to go out to shit. Okay. And the whole point of the sacral also is to become aligned so you can get that Kundalini energy, which is a very passionate, very, you know, exciting energy that you want to go to, you know. So it's about just creating things, you know. You want to get to a point where you can create. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay, questions for me before I wrap up today's class.
No.
What's Kundalini energy? What is that? Like, I never heard that.
Okay, Kundalini energy is when all your chakras are completely aligned, and it's kind of like the symbol of like the healing. It's like you have two snakes curving, and it is like the high.
Oh, okay, I've seen that. Yeah.
Okay, and it is like perfect energy. I mean, it's like your whole body is aligned, and you feel that spur of energy coming through your whole body up to your crown chakra. It's like the highest level of meditation. You're like at like the ninth like chakra, like you meditate high. you know, and you feel like you're literally
Super Saiyan.
yeah, you feel like you're like elevating. And I've been there before, and it's amazing feeling like where you can like literally like you're floating, and it's like you're right on. Boom. Okay. And once we hit that cooling energy,
Period.
everything opens. Also, you can also get cooling energy if you are if you meet your twin flame and you have sex for the first time with your twin flame. That's two energies colliding. And that's what it is. Like you're literally off of thing.
Like
Yes.
snakes.
Yes. That is the most powerful energy you'll ever run into as a Kundalini energy. It's either you get it through your twin flame, or you yourself can meditate and learn how to do it. It's a process. Some people have tried to get that by themselves. There's videos on it, and they go crazy. If you're not literally being guided by like a guru or by like a spiritual healer to help you get to that point, you can go crazy. So be careful. It's always good to do it, like ease into it. But people were actually trying to go the Kundalini energy faster because they figured that if they went there fast, they could manifest faster. No.
Like crazy house, like insane
Yes.
asylum kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's scary.
You don't mess with things like that. Like you don't mess with it. Like you have to literally be aware of your body and so forth, because if not, it goes crazy and then you don't think straight, and then your mind's trying to figure out like what the hell's going on. And it's a lot of crazy stuff out there. So be very conscious of it, but you'll know what it is as you're doing the work. And it's like a way where your higher self is going to gift you with that. And it's beautiful. It really is. Like it's different. Like your whole body starts trembling. Like it's all like a vibration from head to toe. But you have to be used to the vibration. You have to be used to vibing. If we're not used to vibing, then it's going to scare the shit out of you, which is going to put your brain into freaking shock and your body to shock. So when I teach people like how to do that, we vibe slowly. We learn what the trembling feels like, right? We learn that, you know, before you start going all the way in, because your whole body literally trembles. Did that help, Luis?
Yeah.
You can always look at Kundalini energy or Kundalini, and you'll see some crazy people too. You'll see that on YouTube.
Yeah, it's funny.
I had a guy on my caseload like 7 years ago. I remember that now, and I'm thinking, oh my God, if I knew what I know now back then. And he was seeing colors. He was like numerology. I mean, it was like psychosis, like shit. And he was like a big old like president for like Micron. And he went crazy. And that's what it was.
That's wild.
Yeah. It took me years to even look up Kundalini. I was like, I'm scared of that shit. Hell no. Hell no. And now I'm like, okay.
No, ma'am.
Yep. And now that I went through it, I'm like, okay, it's not bad. It's okay. Because I was guided, right? But when you go from 0 to 100, you lose everything. Your sanity. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and get wrapped up, you guys. I'll get it processed, and I'll post it onto our group as well once I get it on YouTube. Okay. If anything else comes up, if questions, please message me. Well, then, guys, have a great night. Okay.
Adios, amiga. Have a good night.
Bye. You too. See ya.